Rolling. Say welcome back to Fig Tree Farm. Blooper reel.
Welcome back to Fig Tree Farm.
We started off April by collecting a load of free decking wood from Facebook Marketplace. This gave us enough wood to edge most of the beds, though we're still looking out for more to finish the job. The beds were looking pretty bare, so we really wanted to get some plants in as soon as possible. We decided to start with the horseshoe bed up by the polytunnel. First things first, get the artichokes in. Artichokes are definitely my favourite vegetable. They're very difficult to grow from seed, but Lucy did a fantastic job. They also take up a lot of room, and I'm not sure that we gave them enough. We certainly didn't give them enough compost, which we would find out later in the month. When my friend Chris gave us all that compost, he also gave us some strawberries. These have been growing really well in pots, but it was time to get them in the soil. We decided that this side of the horseshoe bed would be a fruit cage, yet we're still to build it. We'd really like fruit cage from First Tunnels. Hint, hint, First Tunnels. We'll make a video about it. But I think, realistically, we're going to have to make one out of wood. But I think that's going to be a project for the next video. Hopefully, the birds don't eat all of our fruit in the meantime. You might remember that we named our allotment Fig Tree Farm after the fig tree, which was the first thing that we planted. This belonged to Lucy's late grandmother, but it's not the only plant of hers that will be planted in our garden. We've also got these raspberries, which were quite a pain to get out of the pot they were in. But in the end, we got there. Raspberries grow quite tall, and we're in a very windy area, so I built this makeshift support out of fence battens. We'll run some wire along it as the plants grow taller. It'll do for now. We also planted some gooseberry bushes that came from our garden, and we're going to plant some blackcurrants as well. My second favourite vegetable is asparagus. Now, we were a little bit late in the year for asparagus, and the ones we bought weren't great. In fact, only 3 of them came up. One other mistake we made was planting this bed way too early and way too shallow. Also, it was about 2 months too early to plant corn. We ended up replanting it in May. Another plant that we planted too early was tomatillos. The ones on the left didn't survive, they got destroyed by the wind. But these, however, these peas, they did great. My little makeshift support. We grew a few different varieties, but we ended up chucking them all in together because the labels had faded. While it was great to have planting underway, we had quite a lot of plants. In fact, at one point we worked out we had over 6,000. We'd managed to free up a lot of space in the polytunnel by moving the plants outside as the weather improved. But a few things still needed potting up, especially my chilies, which had been stuck in these tiny little plug trays. In retrospect, I should have potted them up into smaller pots first. But, nimble fingers, plonk them in, hope for the best, and they actually did really well. I have since realised that these chilies I'm growing at like 1,000,000 Scoville, and I really don't think I can handle that heat. But I can definitely be excited about these tomatoes. Lulu's Best Ever, they're called. Apparently, they can grow fruit as large as 1 kilo. These ones, however, I can't tell you what variety they are. Lucy started them off early in the year, and unfortunately dropped them down the stairs, mixing all of the seedlings together. I've always been aware that you're supposed to pinch off parts of a tomato, but I had no idea which parts, so I looked it up. Apparently, if you pinch off these side shoots, rather than throw them away, you can put them in some water, and hey look, they grow roots. Free tomatoes. They're not looking very happy, but we'll see how they go. What were looking happy were these telegraph cucumbers. Pretty sure Lucy just has a green thumb. So we planted them in the polytunnel bed. One great thing about the first polytunnels is they've got crop bars running along the top. We used these to support the cucumbers by running strings tied to the base loosely up to the crop bars and gently wrapping them round the cucumbers as they grew. We ended up at the end of May with about 4 strings running off each of them. And of course, while we're in the polytunnel, we've got to harvest things. These radishes we grew hundreds of. I'm not a huge fan of radishes myself, but they were nice and spicy, delicious in salads. While on a weekend break in Herefordshire, we visited one of the hop farms, and I was very pleased to see that their hop plants were about the same height as mine, but it did remind me that I really needed to build some support for them. We decided to use pallets to build a fence around the allotment. We priced this up with fencing, but it was just going to be way too expensive, and pallets are free. To guide the hops up to the fence, I used twine. I pegged it into the ground and stapled it onto the pallets. Traditionally, hops are grown-up twine like this. You wrap them round in a clockwise motion, and they just kind of know what to do. I really hope these grow well. As you can see, I've got a hop tattoo on my wrist, and I'll look pretty stupid if I can't even grow them. Next on our list was building a brassica cage. Brassicas need to be netted. I discovered this a few years ago while trying to grow some red cabbages in my garden. They grew really well, I was really proud of them, and then suddenly they were covered in cabbage white larvae. These very hungry caterpillars ate the entire lot without leaving any for me, so this year I'm not leaving it up to chance. We managed to get all of this tubing at a car boot sale for just £1. I cut it into lengths and then push these lengths into the saw below before screwing them into the baseboard. If I did this again, and we've got a couple of beds left to fill, I think I'd have made this a little bigger. I didn't really realise how big some of the brassicas can grow, and they're growing pretty quickly. Once the poles were fixed, we attached them together with some fence battens and provided some vertical support. We then put the netting over, and I made some nifty little clips to hold the netting onto the poles. I did this by cutting 1-inch segments of the same tubing and cutting a slit in each one. I could then clip these over the netting and over the pipes, and we could quickly and easily open up the cage ready for planting. The first thing we planted was purple cauliflower. This stuff looks really cool. I've never seen it in the shops. It's basically a normal cauliflower, except the cauliflower itself is bright pink instead of white. We also planted some kale, some purple sprouting broccoli, and some sprouts ready for Christmas. Once this was done, we needed to plant up the bed on the end. So we planted a mixture of our mystery tomatoes, the Lulu's best ever, and some peas. Talking of peas, these ones are particularly interesting. They're French pea beans, a variety called Inca. Again, these were from the Wales Seed Hub. I definitely recommend visiting their website. I'll stick a link in the description. We added some more soil to the bed with the arch and planted these against it, along with some runner beans to grow up it. So, that's the beans done. Brassica's looking good. See what Lucy's up to. It's coming along well. Food forest. It's going to be great.
All of these need bees.
Yep, bring the pollinators in. Well, we have over here some neighbours right in the distance out there who have 2 hives, so I think we've already had some of their visitors on our broad beans. This is our squash bed. Butternut squash, winter squash, and some little jack-o'-lantern pumpkins for Halloween. Squash and courgettes, as we put in the next bed, are not really happy with getting water on their leaves. They can get powdery mildew, so we planted them up on these little Motte and Bailey Castle style mounds for easy watering. We left the space in the middle of this one for a runner bean structure. The end bed was the first bed that we ever dug. This was before we had the compost. We dug a hole, filled it full of the manure, and we've left it until now covered over with an old carpet. Maybe that's the worm that I left in there. The one that I saved from the compost heap. Who knows? See you, dude! At the start of May, we had a heat wave and everything started kicking into gear. Our potatoes had shot up, and we soon realised that we had to hill them up. As I understand it, hilling up potatoes is done for two reasons. The first of which is to increase the yield. The idea is that you hill up the potatoes with soil and they grow roots from the stems, which then grow more tubers. The second reason, and one that was much more important to us, was to keep the light off the potatoes and stop them going green and poisonous. We didn't want that happening, but we only had so much compost and this was taking up a lot of it. What we did have, however, was lots and lots of grass clippings. Our hope is that by mounding up the potatoes with grass clippings, we're going to avoid getting any light on the tubers as they come to the surface. We just got to hope that it doesn't all blow away in the wind. I've put a link in the description to a video by the wonderful YouTuber Hugh Richards, who talks about the different ways that you can use grass clippings in your garden. Back to market, and this time our stall is looking a little bit more impressive. The sun was out and we've done really well. Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe and like the video, and we'll see you soon at Fig Tree Farm. Happy birthday.